So finally, King AEETES and Jason meet. Jason tries his best. He pretty much just says, "Hey, can I just have your fleece?" Not surprisingly, King AEETES says no. Jason, "Oh, please, please, can I have the fleece?" And again, AEETES says, "All right, you pass these tests of bravery, and then you can have the fleece." So AEETES has these special oxen. He has to yoke two of them, and they breathe fire. Once he can yoke them, he has to use them to sow a field with dragon's teeth, which means he needs to plant a bunch of dragon's teeth in the ground. From those teeth, hundreds of warriors will rise up, and he has to kill them all. If he does all of that, which is supposed to be impossible, which is why AEETES is agreeing to it, then he says Jason can have the fleece. So what a yoke is, the thing that's around these two oxen's neck is a yoke. When you yoke them, you can get them to pull your plow, and as they plow the field, you'd be tossing dragon's teeth, planting those in the ground. So these oxen don't look as pathetic as these oxen. They breathe fire, and they're huge and crazy and scary. Jason is upset because he doesn't think he can do it. He thinks, AEETES, your challenge is too damn hard, and there's no way he can do it. So he's all upset, and again, for like the 5th time, wants to just pack it in and give up. But then Medea comes along, and now Medea's already been struck with the arrow of Eros, or Cupid, and is instantly in love. Medea says, Jason, don't worry, babe. I'm totally a sorceress, and I can help you complete that challenge. So now Jason's like, okay, thank you. So Medea gives him a couple things. He gives him a magical ointment that makes him fireproof. So the oxen can shoot their fire or breathe their fire on him, and he doesn't have to worry about anything. Then she tells him that, listen, these dragon teeth warriors, they're not that bright. If you throw a giant boulder in the middle of them, they'll get really confused and start attacking each other. So Jason says, well, I guess it sounds easy enough. So he yokes the oxen, plants the teeth, the soldiers grow, he throws a boulder in the middle of them, they all get confused, like, oh my god, who's attacking me? And then when they're not looking, Jason kills them by himself. So obviously, something's not quite right here, and AEETES is pissed. He says, there's no way pathetic Jason, who was crying a couple seconds ago, could have all of a sudden just finished this impossible task without my daughter's help. So Medea, knowing that her father's obviously going to be mad, says, Jason, let's get out of here before he kills both of us. But they still don't have the fleece yet. But luckily Medea knows where the fleece is. So Medea takes Jason and her little brother Aspertus, that's going to be important in a second, to the tree where the golden fleece is guarded by a giant monster. So there's the golden fleece. It's like a golden ram fleece. Medea sings the monster to sleep as Jason walks up and just gets the golden fleece. Easy peasy, done. So they get on the Argo and they start sailing away, and the Colchians are getting close. Now, remember I said like just 2 slides ago that it was significant why Medea brought her little brother. Not in a good way. So as the Colchians are getting close to catching Jason and the Argonauts, well, Medea chops her brother into little pieces and throws him overboard. Why does she do this? Sounds a little bit crazy. She does it because in Greek mythology, it's very important that you get a proper burial. So she knows that by cutting her brother into little pieces and throwing him overboard, that her father will want to stop to pick up all those pieces so that his son can have a proper burial. Okay, pretty brutal, and pretty much now the Argonauts are like, oh my god, this woman is crazy. Why is she on our boat? And they're all kind of scared of her now. So they collect the pieces of Aspertus. You know, it's kind of like Humpty Dumpty fell off the wall, put them back together, but you can't really put the guy back together. So Medea promises to Jason, listen, I know I'm a little bit nuts, but I can get you out of this mess, but you have to do whatever it takes. So Jason, okay, sure, I can do it. So Medea's other brother, she convinces to come alone on shore. She says, hey, brother, listen, I've made some terrible mistakes. I've betrayed our father. I cut our little brother into a bunch of pieces. I'm really sorry. I want to go home. So her other gullible brother believes it, comes on shore, and as soon as he gets on shore by himself, Jason kills him. Think that's it? No, that would be too easy for Medea. So Medea says, now cut off his fingers and toes and suck the blood out of him. What? That's exactly what Jason says. I have to do what? Why is Medea doing this? It's a ritual that prevents the ghosts of dead people from following you or from haunting you. So if you don't want a dead person or somebody you've killed to haunt you, just cut off their toes, cut off their fingers, and suck the blood dry. It's real easy, apparently. I don't know. This is what Medea tells us. So Jason freaks out, but again, he does it. So next, they arrive at the island of Circe. Why they go to the island of Circe is because Circe has the power of forgiving people, It's like confessional in Christianity. You go, you confess your sins. The priest says, it's okay, no biggie, you're absolved of your sins. So Circe, is kind of smart. She says, Jason, it's okay, no worries, you're forgiven. And Medea tells her story, like, I just betrayed my father, no big deal. And, Circe says, that's okay, but you're not telling me the whole story. Medea doesn't tell her about how she killed two of her brothers, but Circe can read her mind. And Circe explains to her that, listen, you do not simply kill your brothers and betray your father and get forgiven. Instead, Circe tells Medea that she's doomed to live a miserable life. And now, kind of for the first time, Medea becomes upset and kind of realizes what she's done. At this point, I'm sure you guys probably think Medea is crazy, but think of it this way. I feel bad for Medea because, remember, this is not her choice. She's doing this out of love for Jason. She's doing everything. She's so madly in love with Jason, and that's why she's killed her brother. And whose fault is it that she's in love with Jason? Not her own. It's Aphrodite's and Hera's. It's the gods' fault why she's doing this. So it's not really Medea acting in her own mind. So then they come to the land of the Phaeacians. The queen of the Phaeacians thinks, oh, this love story between Medea and Jason is so cute, minus the dead brothers. So she offers them protection as long as they get properly married. So fine, whatever it takes, they get properly married. The Colchians who are chasing Jason, they just kind of give up and go home. So they're safe now. Jason and Medea finally have the golden fleece. They're safe. Everything's good. So they go back to IOLCUS where it all started. Jason returns home and gives the fleece to King Peleus. Says, here you go, I did it, here's your fleece, whatever. And that's where the kind of story kind of goes. It doesn't really end, just we don't really know too much about what happens. So Jason's father, remember Aeson, is now very old. Medea used her powers, her magical powers, kind of like Harry Potter magic, to return Aeson back to his youthful self. The daughters of King Peleus, remember that's the king who sent Jason on this trip, sees this, and since Peleus is also old, remember Peleus and Aeson are brothers, they ask Medea, hey, can you help return our father, King Peleus, to be young? And since Medea is just so nice, just a lovely woman, she says, of course I can. So what Medea does to demonstrate how you do it is she takes an old ram. She cuts that ram into a bunch of pieces, throws them into a boiling pot of magical herbs, and then pulls out a young ram, or a spring lamb. Just pulls it out. So it works. Cut them into pieces, throw them in a pot with magical herbs, and you too can be young forever. Maybe CoverGirl or something will figure out that secret soon. So Peleus' daughter's like, wow, we can do that. So they go while their dad's sleeping, cut them into a bunch of little pieces, and throw them into a pot with the herbs. Except nothing happens. They just see chunks of their father boiling in the water. Medea goes, oh, my bad. Must have forgot one of those ingredients. Sorry. And just like that, the Peleus' own daughters killed the king. Who's king now? Because of the bloodlines? Jason. So Jason's now king. Medea has now given Jason the golden fleece, saved his life from King AEETES and the Colchians chasing them, and now made Jason a king of his homeland. All thanks to Medea. Jason's done really nothing. Sadly though, the sons of Peleus aren't just going to let this happen, and they kick Jason and Medea out of IOLCUS. They move to Corinth, and they live there for 10 years, and they have 2 kids. Happily ever after, so you think. Life is okay, but then Jason misses. Oh, I miss my Argonaut brothers. I miss being royal. I miss being a hero. And he knows that because his wife is a barbarian, and a barbarian just means anybody who is not Greek, and right at this point in time, the people of Colchis are not of Greece. They're more like modern-day Turkey or Ionia, not Greece. So because Medea is a barbarian, his sons could never be Greek citizens, and this upsets him. So now Jason does the unthinkable, and he says, hey, Medea, I think we should get a divorce. I'm kind of going to marry this other woman, the king of Corinth's daughter, Glaus, instead. I'm sure you can already imagine how this turns out. If you were with a woman like Medea and knowing what she's capable of, the last thing you would do is want to piss her off. So Medea is furious, and she says to him quite honestly, I've done everything for you. I gave you the golden fleece, I saved your life from my father, I eliminated the king to give you the throne, I gave you 2 sons as heirs to your throne, or heirs to your life, and now you just leave me? Medea does have a right to be pissed. So Jason's, oh, I'm sorry, babe, but I'm still marrying Glaus. Okay, so then Medea, and these are all pictures of Medea from different renditions. They say, okay, you know what, Jason? I acted out of anger. I'm upset, but let me show my goodwill to you and your new wife. I made her this beautiful robe. Jason obviously is not that bright. He thinks, oh, Medea, that's such a sweet gesture of you. Oh, Glaus will look great in this robe. Thank you so much. Well, Glaus puts on the robe, which, as we all probably could have guessed, is cursed. As soon as she puts it on, it burns her flesh, and she dies. Shocking. Jason is furious, comes home ready to kill Medea, and to his horror, he discovers that she has already killed their 2 sons. Why would she do this? Because, as with Egypt, as with Rome, as with Greece, having sons is very, very important because it gives you an heir. Not necessarily an heir to a throne, but be able to inherit your household, inherit your name, inherit your stories. As we'll see with the Trojan War, having your name remembered and passed on is one of the most important things to the Greeks. And now Jason's name will die because he doesn't have any sons to carry it on, or kids at all. So that's why Medea kills them. She says, this was hard, but I'd rather watch you suffer without an heir than have 2 living sons. Kind of crazy, but that's Medea. So Medea, since she's kind of half god, demigod, apparently rides off in a chariot to the sky, and we never hear of her again. Jason, on the other hand, he goes back to see his old broken down Argo on the beach. He's sitting under the Argo, reminiscing about the days when he used to be a hero. And as he's sitting there, the ship's mast of the Argo falls over and crushes Jason, and he dies. And that's how the Argonautica with the Medea, so Jason the Argonauts, that's how the story ends. The end.